From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fan. Hello, everyone. I'm Jaime Hixson, along with my friend joining me on the line.
The hottest, baddest, still sexiest man on cable access TV, the man of the hour with the power with all the ladies. It is I, Hector Bosa, once again, providing you with great talent, and if you pay for it, you can see me in person. So,
Can you turn up his volume a little bit?
What?
We had to turn up your volume a little bit. You sounded low. But now it's good.
Oh, Jesus. That's terrible.
But now it's good.
Women, women and men like to hear my skit. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. But, there's always good news and there's always bad news.
Yeah.
The bad news is that Mitchell Robinson went down again with a broken foot. Aaron Judge went out because of sickness. And Lord only knows what's happening else. What is the bad news? It should be good news. Mike Whitson is the head coach of his old alma mater.
Yeah, Indiana University.
So now that that's going on, is Aaron Judge doing it again to the New York Yankees, just like Giancarlo, that he likes to get hurt? And
he doesn't
Sanchez.
like to get hurt. He unfortunately gets hurt.
Yeah, I know. He has that bad luck of his, and Gary Sanchez doing his thing, getting hot and cold.
Mm-hmm.
And right now he can't afford to be cold, because then a lot of people are going to say trade him. So, Space Jam.
They're supposed to come out with the poster for the new Space Jam movie, which, if I'm not mistaken, is coming out in July.
Well, they did, actually. And it's, what's his name? LeBron James putting his hand over his stomach. Then they got Bad Bunny holding a basketball with one finger, Bugs Bunny holding one finger, and Tweety Bird either kicking the ball or bouncing the ball off his head. Now, there's going to be some controversy, because then they're going to say about the finger holding is which finger are they holding? It looks like they're holding the middle finger up, but that's not true. So there's going to be controversy about that, because there's always controversy about everything. You can't even, sneeze the right way without people getting all jumpy. But that's the poster. That's one of the posters that I just seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
And ex-Yankee ace Masahiro Tanaka returned to Japan in fear of anti-Asian racism in U.S. report says. So he was in fear of anti-Asian racism when he left? Oh, boy. Only is a couple of bodyguards, but you can actually afford it. But Brian Cashman meets media, announces several roster changes. So the general manager, the Yankees media announces, Brian Cashman meets with the Yankees media, announces several roster moves.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, but isn't that the point, the job of the manager? Unless he's trading people, he shouldn't be touching who should be batting, because there have been managers, general managers that think that they're managers and they want to put certain people in. But I don't think that's it. What do you say?
Brian Cashman has been the general manager for almost 23 years. He can do anything that he wants with that roster.
And almost has gotten fired, too.
What's that?
He's almost gotten fired.
Yeah, he's...
Steinbrenner, the old Steinbrenner was around. His senior was around. I don't think he would last because he's into winning championships now. Even though he did mellow out a little bit as he got older, but he would have just said, you're out already.
Well,
so what do you got to say? Is it right? Am I wrong? How about senior? Would he have given Brian Cashman this long?
Would he have given Brian Cashman carte blanche for much longer? Yeah, I think he would have. Because finally there was somebody that could tell Mr. Steinbrenner, no, George, you don't do that. And it was Brian Cashman who became that guy. Not only that, but he also was the one guy who was able to stand up to Mr. Steinbrenner, and that was somebody that Mr. Steinbrenner really respected. He respects someone who's able to stand up on his own 2 feet.
And the Rangers are doing very well.
The New York Rangers or the Texas Rangers?
The New York Rangers, they're doing very well.
Well,
I mean, they've still got decent young players, just like the Islanders. The only person that's not doing very well right now is the Devils, and they normally rise up to the occasion. They always have that last-minute push towards the end.
The Rangers are a 500 club.
But
and just yesterday they came close to a major comeback against the Capitals. But you don't score points on moral victories. You score points either by wins or overtime losses. And now the Rangers have to play the Capitals again tomorrow night, and tomorrow's game is going to be pretty critical because the Caps, of course, as you know, have Alex Ovechkin, who has been a megastar in the sport and has also been a Ranger killer for the majority of his career. It's critical that the Rangers break even, if you will, with the Caps tomorrow night.
And the Islanders. What about them?
The Islanders are the ones that are doing very well. They have a 22-9-4 record. Unfortunately, they got their heads handed to them by Pittsburgh the other night, and they have to play the Penguins one more time tonight. As far as the standings are concerned, the Islanders are 2 points behind Washington in the Eastern Division.
That point system, I still think, stinks. I don't know why they come up with that damn thing. Yeah, win, lose, or tie. That's it. No, that doesn't mean. And the Jersey Devils?
The Devils, unfortunately, have a 13-16-4 record. And they did come away with a victory against Boston the other night, which is a critical win for them. Now they're going to play again. They're going to play the Bruins again tomorrow night, and then after that, there's a couple of home games with Washington.
So would you consider them to have a young team, old team, or rebuilding team?
The Devils are rebuilding, and so are the Rangers. And they're rebuilding with younger players.
So that's not bad. I mean, then the moral victory should count. because if it's young guys that you have, then they got to learn how to come close like that, or because that way they can learn from their mistakes. Everybody learns from their mistakes a lot of times, or most of the times anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember that, if you're a young team, moral victories, as much as fans like, they want to win, but they're not in last place. They're not in first place, but they're there.
Mm-hmm.
They're there. They're in striking range.
I mentioned the Islanders before. They actually just started their game with the Penguins moments ago in Pittsburgh.
Who's in first in that division anyway?
Washington.
Washington?
Yeah, with 50 points.
Go ahead. And how's their team?
Washington probably has the best team in the league right now.
Really? How so?
Well, they've got the dominant superstar, which is
Alex Ovechkin. No,
which is Alex Ovechkin. He's been their signature goal scorer this season, and he also has a great sidekick, Nicholas Backstrom, who's been a real good compliment for Ovechkin for almost 10 years now.
So you would say that's a nice balanced team of young and old?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it mostly veterans?
That's a good veteran team right there. That's a team that won a Stanley Cup about 2 or 3 years ago.
So, and then who's second?
It's Washington, then the Islanders with 48 points. Then there's Pittsburgh with 46 points. Then there's Boston with 39. Then after that, there's Philly, the Rangers, the Devils, and Buffalo, which might be the worst team in the league this season. In fact, they are the worst team in the league because they only have 16 points to show for it.
They're not normally the worst team in the league.
Buffalo, yeah. Usually Buffalo has been at the bottom of the totem pole in the league.
And their GM allows that, or the owner allows this? Have they changed coaches or GMs lately, or?
Unfortunately, they've been changing coaches quite a few times.
So it's not the coach then. Is it the GM?
It could be the general manager, yeah.
How long has he been on there?
He's been there quite a few years.
And maybe he is the GM, but if you notice, if they've been that bad that long, how long has the GM been there? So let's say they've been there 5 years. So even before the 5 years, they were good. They were pretty good before the 5 years, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
They were a good team, you would say, before, let's say, 3 years ago. 3 years ago, were they a good team? Or were they still bad? Because I remember them being pretty good at some point. I forgot what year.
Let me find that out right now.
I'm sure they've had a really good year, and because the Buffalo Sabres, they were up there at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I just forgot what year. Oh, Detroit beat the Yankees 5-2.
And
but that's a different squad.
That was to conclude the preseason. And for the record, Buffalo has missed the playoffs 5 years in a row. It's going to be 6 years in a row coming up.
It's going to be 6 years in a row. And now, at some point, when do you change the general manager? In 6 years? Do you change him in 6? Do you change him in 5? If you were
Make
if you were
that
the
10
owner,
years. Buffalo's missed the playoffs 10 years in a row.
and they've had the same general manager.
Let me see this right now.
Because if you had different general managers, and then let's say a rebuilding stage takes about 3 years, and if you don't see something happening within those 3 years, I don't know what to say. I don't know what. I don't know what to get.
They've had 3 different general managers in the last 7 years.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad. How about the other sections in the NFL? Who's in first?
NFL or NHL?
NHL.
Let's see. In the other divisions, let's see, the North Division, there's Toronto, Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Montreal that are that are in order of points. Toronto has 46 points, Winnipeg has 44, Edmonton has 43, and Montreal has 37. And then after that, Calgary, Vancouver have 35 each, and then there's Ottawa, which has 28.
That division is probably the hardest. Which division would you consider to have it be the hardest?
If anything, I think all of the divisions are the hardest because they're separated by either 1 or 2 points.
Not like in basketball where the Western Division has become the hardest division. Before it was the Eastern Division.
Let's see. The East is separated. The first and second place teams are separated by 2 points. The North Division, first, second, and third place is separated by only 3 points. The Western Division, first, second, and third place teams are separated by only 4 points.
Who are the teams?
The Western Division, there's Vegas, Colorado, Minnesota, and St. Louis.
Well, Vegas lucked out because they're starting with a new team, and they really, whoever the GM was, really got a lot of good players.
Yep.
They knew who to pick.
Yeah.
Or, they had to get rid of.
And the Central Division, the first and second and third place teams are separated by only 2 points, which means the third place team can actually tie for the division lead with a win.
Wow.
And in that order, it's Tampa, Carolina, Florida, and Nashville. Nashville's tied for the final playoff spot in the Central Division with Chicago. They each have 37 points.
Wow. Those are tough divisions then. Wow. But flipping it to the baseball for a moment.
Right.
It says here that the reason why Masahiro Tanaka left was one of the reasons he left. He said it was racial discrimination played a part in the former Yankees pitcher's decision to leave the U.S.
I would hate to think that he got that racism within the Yankee organization because the Yankees don't operate that way.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it may not be the team. Maybe it could be outside the team because remember he's got to live here.
Right.
And Jeremy Lin has spoke out about it.
Yeah.
And even a lot of basketball players have come out and spoken out about it.
Jeremy Lin is probably the most vocal because I think he's the only Asian American that I know of that's in the game. Oh wait, no, my mistake. There's also Rui Hachimura, a Japanese-born player who's with the Washington Wizards.
Just like I said, there's racism everywhere, and sometimes it could be worse than others because if you feel that you're going to be attacked, and then in some other places you're going to feel like you're going to be attacked all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're either going to have to suck it up, or because you can't go anywhere. You can't really go anywhere because there's racism around the world. There's no utopia.
Yeah.
Because each place has its own people that get discriminated on in different countries. Think about it. I mean, hell, there's between light skin and black skin. There between mountain people and city people. Even just the line. You're the same people, and you're just even countries who are the same people get divided. So it's ridiculous how things work,
Mm-hmm.
and we're supposed to be the more adult. But I guess people enjoy it. I guess.
Yeah.
Because they want separatism in the world, but. I'm reading certain things, and it says that's one of the reasons why. Because Tanaka had 2 kids,
Mm-hmm.
or Tanaka has kids, and he's married now still, and he was just saying that this is one of the reasons I left. But Luke Voigt.
Luke Voigt unfortunately tore up a meniscus in his knee, so he already underwent surgery. And how long he's going to be out is a little bit of a discrepancy because I've heard it might be a month, I heard it might be 2 months, I heard it might be 3 months, I heard it might be until
the entire year.
Oh, if it's for the entire year, then that's a bad loss for them because he was their top home run producer last season.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. With technology now and with the money that they have, if you're an athlete and you're in a good organization, you're going to get the best care.
Yeah.
And it's not like us poor people who get decent, depending upon where we go and who our provider is, and where do we go. But most of them guys and female, most of those people normally get fantastic care. So, what's he have again? I know he's out for whatever, but
he has a torn meniscus in his knee.
I mean,
it's not like an ACL. An ACL will put him out for a whole year. A meniscus, he could be out maybe 2 or 3 months.
Could be. It all depends how his rehab and everything else goes.
So in the meantime, Jay Bruce is going to be the first baseman for the Yankees.
Oh, Jay Bruce is back.
Yep. They gave him a minor league deal, and even though he didn't produce that much, they still saw something in him to make him the first baseman with Luke Voigt out.
So the Bruce is loose.
Yep. That could be John Sterling's call right there.
The Bruce is loose.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know about the illness that that this gentleman has.
You mean Aaron Judge?
Yes.
Let me find out right now.
And while you're doing that, did you expect Domingo Germán not making the rotation?
Did I expect Domingo Germán to not make the rotation?
Yes.
I kind of did because there was some guys in the clubhouse who were not happy with what he did last year, beating that poor girl. So I'd like to think that the apology that he made is sincere enough that he would warrant a second chance. So I think his performance in alone, because he pitched pretty well during the spring, I think his performance alone warranted that second chance enough.
You know, some people would say they don't deserve second chances, so they should be gone. And you know, he who's without sin, that people should not be talking. I mean, I know certain people, even though they say a lot of people should not get redemption in some cases, but there are some that should. So I don't know what's going on.
Well, let's just say that he didn't make a lot of women's groups happy. Let's put it that way. And the Yankees aren't making a lot of women's groups happy by still letting him on the team.
He made his apology, and I know that's not enough for some people, but you know, that's up to him and his girl, who is fiance or his wife. That's between them two.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they want to make the organization look bad and they want to protest the Yankees for having him on, you know, that's a tough call. That's a tough call for everybody.
Yeah.
That's a tough call for everybody. But if he has changed, then you have to give him a chance. You can't say, okay, he can have a chance, but let him do it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Because if this is all he knows here, and he wants to play here, should a person leave because of a situation like that? And then once you go somewhere else, what makes you think you're going to be treated any better? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a job. This is a job that he does. This isn't, you know, some people would say, oh, this is a game we've enjoyed playing like kids. But this is a paying job, and this is the only thing that he knows, even though most people nowadays, because people have lost jobs from left to right, and the economy is getting a little better, a little bit. You know, people are doing things that if a normal person would lose one job, they would have to go to another job, a different job. That's the people that would say, you know what, this guy should not even be in baseball. Why can't he get himself another job? But then the problem goes, well, no matter where he goes, he's going to have that stigma. No matter where he goes. Who gives him the second chance? Without people going, oh, you shouldn't hire him. Oh, you shouldn't hire him. Oh, you shouldn't hire him. You know, even though people would be afraid, and I get that, but that's a tough subject to call.
Yeah.
That's a tough subject to call, because that's one of those things where you would say, all right, well, let's see what happens. Let's see if, like you said, let's see if he does keep up with his word. And let's see, you know, winning for some people do a lot of things. If he wins for them, they'll forget a little bit. Some will forget.
Well, before this whole thing went down, he was pitching great baseball.
Yeah.
If he could get back to where he was before this incident went down, then he would make one hell of a third starter. Because right now, after Garrett Cole and Domingo Germán, you've got two guys that are coming off Tommy John surgeries. You got Corey Kluber and Jameson Taillon. And there's also actually three, if you count Jordan Montgomery. Three guys coming off a major operation. And the Yankees are going to be relying on these guys to help them get to a World Series this year. So I hope they know what they're doing, relying on these three men.
Well, all I can say is that they do have a farm system, and some of the young guys that they have down there, they should give them a shot too.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully in spring training, they can say, okay, let's call up this guy, like they normally do. If one guy goes down, they have to make a trade or something's bound to happen. I mean, it happens to everyone. It happens to everyone. But, God, what was the question before we were talking about this?
You mean what was Aaron Judge's illness?
Yes.
Aaron Judge's illness is unknown, but we do know that he's expected to be on the opening day roster. And he's following MLB protocol regarding COVID.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's good. And Bruce, when Luke, yeah, we were talking about Jay Bruce. The Bruces lose. I think that's funny to me. But yeah, he's taking over first base, and then they're talking here about the fans. I don't know how many people will be able to go to Yankee Stadium. At least 25%. At least somebody will be able to go. But it's funny, they're still going to charge the same amount of money they used to charge.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I mean,
the more things change, the more they stay the same.
I know they have to have money, and you're not going to have the same people that work there, that the same amount of people, the hot dog vendors and the people, the kids that used to have that for summer jobs. They're not going to do all that this year. As many times as they try to open, and even in 3 states where I think they're not 3 or 4 states where there's going to be a no mask policy. That's ridiculous. But they're talking about Giancarlo Stanton, that they have to keep him. He's one of the scariest hitters. He is. He's very scary when all of his other teammates are hitting well, because he hasn't done nothing either when it comes to the World Series or when it comes to the playoffs. I mean, what was it, last year or the year before when they made the playoffs? Was he hurt?
The year before was when he was hurt.
And he's been in the playoffs for a bit now. Has he done anything?
Last year, he hit about 6 home runs in the playoffs against the Indians and the Rays, but other than that, he's been
quiet.
Very quiet.
And they're also saying about the durability on the staff, and that they're coming off, even if you're a reliever, coming off a 60-game COVID season. And they're talking about their durability. Gary Sanchez. You know, they always come in great shape. They always come in great shape, but will he be the worst catcher in baseball defensively?
I like to think that he's been working enough on his game where he could be at least adequate defensively.
I mean, that's all they're expecting. I mean, that he does a decent job. Zach Britton. Well, Brighton.
Yeah, Zach Britton.
He may not come back between June. I know he's doing well. He's going through post-surgery physical therapy, and there's nothing more to add on him. And Justin Wilson as well. You know, he's a bullpen guy. And they're saying that he could probably do it. And Tyler Wood and Michael King is on that, 25 pitch, and we have a 26 final decision. So they have 26, and they're trying to figure out if Justin Wilson, Derek Dyrich, and Robertson something, they've agreed to minor leagues. And someone's been let go. I am not be able to, might as well not. But Brian Cashman made some type of big deal. And all in all, you think he's done a really good job.
Cashman, you mean?
Yes, Brian Cashman.
Overall, he's done a tremendous job. I mean, for him to last 23 seasons, that means he's doing something right. I mean, has he made his mistakes? Yeah, he has. But at the same time, he's also brought in players that have helped the team win the World Series.
Do you think that the Yankees are still very competitive, that they're going to make the playoffs always?
Of course.
Because on paper, like I said, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
On paper, they're woof. That's the hardest. That's a hard team to beat. But they're normal human beings and everything else. Now, on the other side of the island, the New York Mets.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening with them? You tell me. What's the big story with them?
The big story with them right now is Francisco Lindor's contract negotiations. We still don't know what the deal is with that. I do know that Lindor had a dinner with the Mets owner, Stephen Cohen, and they're approaching a date for when contract negotiations are going to be cut off. So they're hoping that they can get a deal done immediately. Interesting that the Mets have chosen to try and work out a deal now with Francisco Lindor and not Michael Conforto.
Why is that?
Because Lindor practically just got here. And for another, Michael Conforto has been a Met for 6 years. And he's been a steady player for them.
He has been here for 6 years, and he has been a good ball player.
Mm-hmm.
And they should concentrate on him. But I guess he's not as big a superstar as Lindor, if you think about it. Maybe in their heads they have to, because they got a lot for him. They gave up. Do you think they gave up a lot for him?
Oh, they definitely gave up a lot for him. They gave up 2 shortstops to get him.
And that's why, that's why sometimes you have to deal with what you have first. And you have to go, although he's been there for 6 years, but you got to go with the guy that you gave up a lot for first. Mm-hmm. Now, does that, get in Conforto's psyche that he's probably saying he's better than I, and how dare they? I don't know. But what else has been the biggest news for the Mets? Because I'm hearing about, what's his name? I'll tell you in a sec because I'm just thinking. Alonso launching NFT will donate profits to help minor leaguers. That's not bad. Peter Alonso is the latest sports to join the token needed, to support minor league system, which is good. You have to support the minor league system, not like the one we had in Staten Island. Has that ever? How do you have you heard anything about that lately? Has there anything been resolved
regarding what?
The Staten Island Yankees.
Oh, unfortunately, nothing has been resolved. We have an empty stadium. The Staten Island Yankees are eliminated. They're no longer a minor league team. The issue is with
shame.
The issue is with the stadium. We have an empty stadium, and nothing has been decided about what to do with it yet.
First of all, it should have been a dome stadium. That way, you can do a lot more than an open stadium. Because
you very rarely have any domed stadiums for minor league teams, Hector.
No, that's true. That's true. But if you think about it, this is Staten Island, and they could have done a lot more with that stadium if it was just them and someone else. But because they could have had bands in there, famous people play there, they could have had a soccer league in there. They could have a lot of different things in there so that people don't have to be bothered with the weather. It's bad enough people don't go there in the first place.
Yeah.
So, and people don't like the weather when it's rainy and so forth. So that, I'm surprised that in the major leagues, like I said, most of them haven't, the majority, or all of them don't have a dome. Because I know the ball is different and it costs a little more, but it pays off in the end because most families, if they're willing to go out in bad weather, they know they're going to a place where, we don't have to worry about the weather because we're going to a nice place where we're not going to get wet. We don't have to worry about our coats or anything of that nature. So I just don't get it. But that's a shame that there's a nice ball field there and nothing's going to happen. Even though I think they're in the court still, they're trying to fight them because that's one of the reasons why they built the damn stadium, because they had to guarantee that team will always play there.
Right.
But who knows? Is there anything, like I said, Alonso is donating, which is good. And a lot of players seem to be doing that now. They're donating a lot of money to the minor league system.
Yeah, they need to keep this minor league system going because that's the pipeline to the majors.
Yeah, and they have
but the fact that they had to eliminate teams to do it, this reeks of a cost-cutting measure.
Well,
and Staten Island wasn't the only team eliminated either. 3 other minor league teams wound up getting eliminated, not just from the Mets and the Yankees, but the other 28 major league teams as well.
You got these owners who are billionaires and millionaires well, let's say billionaires, and they're always crying poverty.
Yeah.
But if they lose 1 cent, they're crying poverty. But and they don't get taxed properly. But who knows? We don't know what's going on. But it's just funny how, and it's not because that they're trying to cut things off. It's just the fact that COVID was. If it wasn't for COVID, do you think that they would have cut the Yankees down, the size, the Stallion Yankees? Or is it just the fact that nobody was going there?
I think it was more than just the fact that nobody was going there. I think it was also the idea of the facilities. Some of the people that were inspecting the stadium thought that the facilities weren't up to par. That was number one. Number two, the team was just not making enough money to try and stay afloat.
Yeah. When you don't support the team, like I said, most of the things that have been put on Staten Island never goes through anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the acting. First it was the Navy. That didn't pan out. Then it was the acting thing, that the acting studio, whatever that place was supposed to get. Look at that. That didn't pan out because of supposedly mob things and mob ties and so on. And the Jets, they didn't want to play here. The NASCAR, people complained because of traffic and everything else. They didn't want the Jets because of traffic and parking. And now this. I mean, they put it in the wrong area because parking over there really stinks, especially if you don't want to pay for parking. Mm-hmm. But, hey, what are they going to do with the stadium now? I don't know. What do you think they should do with the stadium?
Someone mentioned the idea of converting the stadium into a track and field venue, which I think would be a good idea because track and field has become a real booming sport here on Staten Island.
Yes, but
has long been a booming sport here on Staten Island.
But for whom? Who would be on the track and field? Who would be there?
Let's see. They could probably bring the PSAL championships here, or the CHS AA championships here. Maybe they could have the Northeast Conference championships here. The Big East Conference, they had their championships at the venue on Father Capodanno Boulevard. Maybe they could do the same thing and have the championships in that venue.
It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell because, again, that place is that place is a very bad place to find free parking.
Yeah.
And who wants to pay for parking? Nobody. But it's bad enough for the neighborhood around that needs to find their own parking spaces because the way the rules and regulations are over there. Mm-hmm. And now you're going to add something else that's going to log up the parking problem even more so. I don't know. I don't. It's a tough call. Like I said, it's a very tough call. But I hope they do something with it. Yeah. I'm just saying that to me, I mean, we've been there. It didn't live up to par. I mean, I know the stairs were kind of steep for people that have trouble walking, but what did you think of it?
I had no problem with the stadium personally. I mean, I've been inside the press box. The press box is pretty cool.
The seats were a little close. I mean, they were a little tight.
Some of the luxury boxes were kind of small, but then again, that's probably just because it was only built for minor league purposes.
Right, exactly.
Other than that, I had no problem with it.
I think to me, like I said, the stairs were a little steep and the chairs were a little small.
Mm-hmm.
But again, and no matter where you went, you had a decent visual. It's not like anywhere you sat was bad. And it's not like going to a regular major league ballpark and you have the pole right in front of you, and you're paying, let's say, $45 or $80 for the nosebleeds, and there's a pole in the middle, and you're seeing most of the pole.
Right.
You know, but that's a subject. That's tough, but you know, like I said, support the minor league system, but. How are the Mets' rotation going?
Well, if you were to look at them one by one, I would say that they were pretty solid if you were to ask me.
Really? Marcus Stroman is back.
Mm-hmm. Marcus Stroman is back. Jacob deGrom was just sizzling that entire spring session that he had.
Well, the Mets do have a better 5 rotation
mm-hmm.
than the Yankees do. But, you know, again, their bullpen. If you had to compare them to the Yankees, who's got the better bullpen? I mean, I should say mid-relief.
The Yankees do.
And closers?
Closer, I think the Yankees have the more superior closer. I mean, who would you rather have to try and get a big out in a game? Aroldis Chapman or Edwin Diaz?
And I would go with Chapman, even though he has given up some big ones. But, you know, they do have more than one closer. They have 2, but...
Yeah, the Mets have Diaz and also Jody Familia.
And so do the Yankees. The Yankees actually have 2 closers as well, 2 or 3 closers. But I would go with the Yankees because they have that many closers, even though your big ace is Chapman. But landing spots for Correa. Oh, if he leaves the Astros. Boy, Correa is leaving the Astros?
Carlos Correa, you mean?
Yeah. He's leaving the Astros? If he leaves the Astros. Wow. That's going to be something. Where would you think the Mets should go after him? I mean, the Mets have improved. How do you think the Mets have done improvement-wise? Have they gone out and tried to be in the hunt?
Overall, they've done well for themselves. They got themselves a franchise shortstop. I think their pitching staff, for the most part, is pretty solid. Both starting rotation and relief help. The only thing that I wonder about the Mets is the outfield. I mean, Brandon Nimmo is a gritty little player, but he's not a power hitter. Michael Conforto is a good power hitter, but it seems like he doesn't have a set spot in that outfield. I mean, he keeps being moved around from left to right. I mean, where are they going to put the guy?
As long as he has a job, I guess that's what That's what At least you have a job.
Mm-hmm.
But
I do like the guys that they brought in for bench help. For example, Albert Almora Jr., Jose Martinez also, Jonathan Villar.
what do you think of Robert Glaceman?
Robert Blakeman?
G. Robert Gessellman.
Oh, you mean Robert Gesellman?
Yes. Looking to bounce back. There's a lot of players that are looking to bounce back.
Yeah.
On the team, but
Robert Gesellman he can be a good pitcher when he's on his game. I mean, he has a good fastball, good breaking stuff. But if he can learn how to harness the breaking pitches, then he has a chance to be a really good pitcher. He's been used as both a starter and a reliever, so my guess is they're going to make him a reliever for the majority of the season.
Hey, you know how I told you that if you get all-stars on your team, people want to play on your team?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how you say James Dolan did put his foot in his mouth and he has practically his whole leg in there now? He had another incident.
Yeah, he banned another fan from the Garden.
Because he's so thin-skinned.
I'm telling you, I'm just waiting for somebody to just go up to him and just whack him. Punch him right in the face.
I tell you, because the Nets, is the Nets the New York team now, or is it still the New York Knicks? Because the Nets have become beasts. Everybody wants to play for them.
And they're another example of the rich getting richer and the stupid getting more stupid. Not only did the Nets bring in Blake Griffin, now they've brought in LaMarcus Aldridge.
Who's playing center, not his power forward.
I think he's going to be a fish out of water having to play center, but whatever he wants to do for the team, the Nets will be more than happy to have him.
And they were willing to get Drummond out of there, too. Imagine that. That's an all-star team. If they don't go all the way and they don't beat the Lakers or whomever, then I don't know what to tell you. That is an all-star team. People are expecting them to win now.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, fine. You had two. Then you brought in three. You traded a lot for Harden. Now you got Blake Griffin, who's still got something in the tank. And now you got LaMarcus Aldridge. And if you bring in Drummond, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a decent bench. It's not that your bench is terrible, but people want to play for your team. They'll even take cuts in their salary. Some will to play for your team to get a championship.
This is true.
And that's what I was telling you before. If the Knicks can do that, the Knicks are winning now. But because of Dum Dum, the owner, they're never going to land a big player.
No.
But it's 7:59. We must say adieu.
Well, that means it's time for us to head on out of here.
Yes.
So, Hector,
I know where I'm going. I got to get some ice.
Mm-hmm. So I say to you, thanks, Hector.
Thank you.
Thanks to Kenny Graham on the other side of the glass.
Oh, Kenny, thank you.
And we failed to mention that the NCAA tournament is got their Elite Eight tonight and tomorrow night. So hopefully you can enjoy the games. So for everyone here, I'm Jamie.
I'm Hector.
Happy Easter, everyone. Good night.
Yeah. Good night.